lecture 16 in the box, so maybe we'll find it soon. Okay, under the section week 8, I just uploaded the PowerPoint of lecture 16. Okay, if it is not there yet, please check it after like 3 or 4 hours. I mean, nowadays sometimes the box is doing some problem. I mean, if I upload anything, it's available like after 3 or 4 hours. So please check again, and if you don't find it, then please let me know. You just can direct WhatsApp me or write in the Google Classroom. Okay. Okay, so let's start with lecture 16 then. Lecture 16 is about protozoa, so it's good to know about protozoa. Oh, sorry. So after we are done with protozoa, I'll give you a brief about the fungi. Okay. So you can see the PPT.
Yes, sir. Sir, when are we getting our midterm marks?
Your midterm marks, your final is 4, right?
Yes.
Okay, so by 2, by December 2, you will get all the marks, right? Okay, now today's 29. 2 is kind of late, so by December 1, you will get like all the remaining quiz and midterm mark. Okay. So by December 1, so if you have any query from the mid and second quiz script, so you can just knock me then. Okay. Because final is December 4, so you guys should get the script before that.
Okay.
Sir.
Yep.
স্যার আমাদের তাহলে তো 2টা কুইজ হচ্ছে, ওখান থেকে কি অ্যাভারেজ নেওয়া হবে তাহলে?
Yes, average.
আচ্ছা, ওকে স্যার।
You all did good in the quizzes, so nothing to worry. Okay, so lecture 16, it is about protozoa. Protozoa is, we already know, it's another type of microorganisms, and it's not prokaryotes. It's a microorganisms, and it's a unicellular microorganisms. Ekkoshi prani আর কি, হ্যাঁ? But it's not a prokaryotes, it's a eukaryotes, unicellular eukaryotes. And it don't have cell wall. Okay, and heterotrophic metabolic patterns. So basically they depend on others for their food. Usually they cannot produce their own food except one. There is one protozoa which can produce their own food. Otherwise, all the protozoa they depend on others. Depend on other organic sources. Okay, so usually find in natural water. Okay. They are unicellular, so definitely we need microscope to observe them. General characteristics: eukaryote, unicellular, no cell wall, colorless. They are motile. Okay, they can move. Non-pigmented, heterotrophic, divide by binary fission. Okay, although eukaryote they divide by binary fission. Ingest food by phagocytosis. Phagocytosis means engulfing something. Okay, and as they are motile, they have some locomotive organs, and those are cilia, flagella, pseudopod. Okay, pseudopod, about a cilia and flagella you already know, and you guys also know about pseudopod, right? I think you already know. All of you know about the amoeba. It was in your high school, I guess. So amoeba has pseudopod, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so these are the locomotive organs by which the protozoa they moves. Okay, and we are still in the general characteristics section. So These two protozoa, Giardia and micro Microsporidia, they are the least evolved protozoa. Okay, protist with no mitochondria and no other membranous organelle except the nucleus. Okay, I mean these two are just kind of a special kind of protozoa. Okay, well least evolved মানে evolutionary point of view তে সবচেয়ে কম evolution হয়েছে আর কি. Okay, and the method of energy production is by anaerobic hydrogenosome. I mean, they produce energy by anaerobic process. And phylogenetically, okay, we can divide protozoa into these different types. Okay, like diplomonads, microsporidia, trichomonads. Okay, trypanosomes, flagellates, euglenoids, and slime molds. Okay. 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 Anyway, so I mean, protozoa have different groups. Okay, no, not fixed. I mean, there is no fixed numbers that how many groups are there regarding protozoa. However, these are the major groups of protozoa. Okay, major groups like and these groups are based on the phenotypes of the protozoa. What are the major groups? Mastigophora, euglenoids, Sarcodina, Celiophora, Apicomplexa. Okay. 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 Before I talk about this group, so why protozoa is actually important for us? Well, they have various maybe if I mean role in the environment, but one bad role is protozoa causes various severe diseases. Okay, I mean, if we think about the human, protozoa causes various human diseases. Okay, so we should, I mean, we should know about the protozoa. Okay, okay, then let's talk. I mean, let's try to get some more idea about this group. First, Mastigophora. They contain more than one flagella found in freshwater and animal intestine. Okay, and both the flagella and cell membrane are used by the mastigophora for their movement. Okay, that means the mastigophora use both their flagella and cell membrane for their movement. Okay, euglenoids. Okay, these are the exceptional euglenoids are exceptional protozoa. In what sense? They are phototrophic flagella. Phototrophic flagella means, okay, so usually all the protozoa they are heterotrophic. That means they cannot produce their own food. They depend on other organic materials for their energy. But euglenoids, as they are phototropic, that means they can produce their own food. Why they can do that? Because they have chloroplast. Okay. Okay, that's why they are exceptional. Usually protozoa cannot produce their own food. Okay, this is the only difference. Guys, can bacteria produce their own food? Anyone? Can bacteria produce their own food? এই সবাই ভুলে গেছো? কারো মনে নেই? যা মনে আছে ওটাই বলো না।
No, sir.
Sir, photosynthetic bacteria to করতে পারে, right? Not
Okay.
all bacteria.
Okay, or I mean, in what sense both of you, right? Usually bacteria, actually most of the bacteria they do not produce food except the photosynthetic bacteria. We actually don't call them photosynthetic bacteria. We usually call them cyanobacteria. But it's same. The cyanobacteria they can do the photosynthesis. Okay. Yeah. I mean, usually bacteria they do not. I mean, most of the bacteria they cannot produce their own food except the cyanobacteria. So cyanobacteria kind of you can say kind of special in that sense. And in case of protozoa, euglenoids is like that. I mean, something like that. Protozoa cannot usually, most of the protozoa, they cannot produce their food except the euglenoids. Okay, then another group, Sarcodina. Okay, yeah, they just, I mean, they just read it out. So that's some basic information. So you just, I mean, when you will study, you just can read through. Okay. Celiophora. Okay. I think they possess cilia at some stage of the life cycle, contain two kind of nuclei, micronuclei and macronuclei. Micronucleus contains genomic DNA. Okay. And macronucleus contain DNA and messenger RNA just put by phagocytosis, paramecium. Okay. Just some basic info. Okay. Another one, Apico. Okay, Apicomplexa, commonly called sporozoa, obligate intercellular parasite. Okay, this one is important. It's a parasite. Okay, so metabolize together with other organism form a resistance structure called sporozoite, which only transmit the cell from one host to another. The famous malaria parasite Plasmodium belongs to this group of protozoa, Apicomplexa. Okay.
স্যার এক্সামে কি স্পরোজা লিখলে আমরা will we be wrong নাকি
Hmm?
can we interchange like we can call this sporozoa instead of AP complexa?
Yeah, basically you can, because I mean, this is you can say like the more basic name. So sometimes the many of the organisms they have some like common names. I mean, those common names are sometimes different than the by book names. Okay, so it's fine. Okay, so the famous Plasmodium vivax. Plasmodium vivax is a protozoa. Okay, it's not a bacteria. It's a dangerous protozoa which cause dangerous disease, malaria. Malaria is still now a big problem for us. I mean, globally, I mean, still there is no vaccine for malaria. Okay, I think some group, they are getting some promising result nowadays. I mean, regarding the malaria vaccine, but still now there is no functional or working vaccine for malaria. So still now every year, I mean each year, lots of people die globally. Okay, so not only Plasmodium vivax, there are other there are some other pathogenic protozoa. Okay, so for example, uh, Kalazor. Have you heard about the name Kalazor? Kalajor. I mean, in Bengali we call it Kalajor. In English, it is called Kala Azar. Okay, the jar became Azar something. Have you heard about this fever? I mean, this disease?
No, sir.
Okay, so Kalajor is a deadly disease. Okay, it is a deadly disease, and in Bangladesh, uh, there are several incidents each year for Kalajor. But Kalajor, you can say, although it's a deadly disease, it's kind of a localized disease. I forget the exact place name of the place, but in the like Jamalpur Mymensingh belt or Tangai, no, not Tangai. I think in the maybe Jamalpur Mymensingh belt, there are I mean Kalazar event every year. You will not find any Kalazar patient rest of the Bangladesh. Only in that belt, in that area. Okay. So you can say it's kind of endemic, epidemic, pandemic. It's an endemic disease. So, by the way, do you guys know about the difference between endemic, epidemic, and pandemic? Endemic, epidemic, and pandemic এর difference জানো?
Sir, একটু
প্যান্ডেমিক তো মহামারী।
আচ্ছা, এক এক করে বলো। হ্যাঁ, প্যান্ডেমিক
মহামারী।
মহামারী। ওকে,
জি স্যার।
ওকে, ঠিক আছে। তারপর আরেকজন।
sure, endemic হচ্ছে তো localized within মানে একটা জায়গা। So, take for example, if there's an outbreak of malaria in Dhaka, just Dhaka, then that's an endemic. But epidemic is if it spreads, John, it's in Bangladesh and then spreads to India, Myanmar, and somehow Pakistan. Then it becomes an epidemic, I think.
Okay, okay. You guys have good idea. Thank you. But I'll make it more clear. Okay. So like endemic, like it's I mean it happens every year in a certain amount. So for example, every year a certain okay. So did have you heard about the গরুর খুরা রোগ, the anthracis? You heard about the you know
ইয়েস
the
স্যার।
bacillus anthracis, right?
Sir, mad cow disease.
No, mad cow is different one. Bacillus anthracis, okay, it causes lesions in the leg. গরুর পায়ের দিকে ইয়া করে ঘা তৈরি করে, হ্যাঁ। And basically some people can also get I mean, they also get infected, they get skin not rash, skin lesions, skin এ ঘায়ের মতো হয় আর কি। Okay, so bacillus anthracis is kind of endemic in our country every year in the Pabna belt. I mean the Pabna Shirazganj belt of Bangladesh. Every year, I mean outbreak, a small, very small scale outbreak of uh, bacillus anthracis happens every year. So it is endemic. I mean every year a certain amount of patient or a certain amount of people they get infected. This will be called endemic. Okay, so endemic means it's follow a same pattern every year. Like say every year in this area, this amount of people get infected by this disease, then it will be a endemic disease. So what is pandemic? If the usual rate get beyond the, okay, so I mean if the number of infected person goes beyond the usual rate. So for example, every year 100 people get infected, but say this year 500 people get infected, 1000 people get infected, then this outbreak will be called a, okay, first actually they're defined as an outbreak, and then this is called epidemic. So there the basic difference between endemic and epidemic is endemic will follow the same pattern every year. The number of, say, I mean if I want to say more easily, the number of infected, I mean the area where the disease occur will be same every year, and the number of people get infected by that disease will be same every year. Then it will be endemic. That is, endemic happens in defined area and in same numbers each year. But if this defined number and area go beyond the normal, then it will be an epidemic. বুঝতে পারছো? মানে এন্ডেমিক হচ্ছে নির্দিষ্ট জায়গাতে নির্দিষ্ট সংখ্যাতেই ঘটে, এটা সেম প্যাটার্ন হবে প্রতি বছর। ইটস কাইন্ড অফ ইন্ডিজিনাস ডিজিজ। বাট ইপিডেমিক হতে গেলে এই রেগুলারিটির বিয়ন্ডে যদি যায় তখন সেটাকে হচ্ছে আমরা ইপিডেমিক বলবো। Okay, so an epidemic, I mean, so you can say how many country, I mean, how many, I mean, the disease should be spread in how many country to call epidemic, epidemic outbreak. There is no certain rule. So, for example, every year, say, okay, it's like, so for example, every year, certain amount of people get infected by dengue in Bangladesh, right? certain amount of people get infected dengue in Bangladesh. So ঠিক না, এটা তো হয় মোটামুটি। এই
Yes,
বছর
sir.
হয়নি, আল্লাহ বাঁচাইছে, যাই হোক। So it's kind of endemic in our country. So every year this amount of people get infected by dengue. But if in a year suddenly lots of people start getting infected by dengue, then it will be called an epidemic. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And it can happen that at the same time, like this epidemic can happen in Bangladesh, Malaysia, or say India. Okay, Bangladesh, Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand. So why am I talking about Malaysia, Indonesia, and Thailand? Because dengue is more prevalent in those countries. By the way, sorry, it is not called dengue; it is called dengue. Okay, the current pronunciation is dengue, not dengue. But it's okay. In Bangladesh, we call it dengue, but it is actually dengue. So this, I mean, epidemic is if it goes beyond the normal rate. So epidemic can happen in only one country, or it can happen in several countries. Now, to become pandemic, the outbreak should occur globally. Globally means how many countries? There is no definition. Usually, the authority they decide whether it is a pandemic or not a pandemic. Okay. Sometimes, say for example, a disease is spread in like 10 countries. Still now the authority don't announce it as a pandemic. Sometimes the like okay. So there is no fixed rule that when the authority is going to announce it as a pandemic. Usually World Health Organization they announce it. So whether it is a pandemic or a not. Pandemics means the disease should be like why I mean the global epidemic or outbreaks should occur for a disease to become a pandemic. So authority has some role to announce it. I mean, whether it is a epidemic or a pandemic. So can you remember the dengue outbreak in Bangladesh last year?
Sir, authority the authority is who, right?
Like for example, for pandemic announcement, the authority is WHO. Who? Okay, World Health Organization.
But
For yeah,
that's government to government.
for epidemic, it's kind of government to government. So like I mean, say for example, in last year, not 2020, in 2019, there was a severe the dengue cases were severe in Bangladesh. Yet our government did not announce it as an epidemic. Okay, so these are kind of how can I say policymaker things, because if a government announce a outbreak as epidemic, they have to take some certain measures, preventive measures, and they have to do certain activities. It's also true for pandemic. If a disease is announced as a pandemic, the world have to take certain measures. Okay. So some politics is also involved, whether it's epidemic or pandemic or not. But as a say infectious microbiologist or like infectious disease researcher, we have to understand that what is actually a epidemic, endemic, what is a epidemic, what is a pandemic. Okay. Okay. So like okay, so let's get back to study. So the some disease, from some famous disease which are caused by different protozoa like the trypanosoma cruzi. Okay, this is a protozoa. It causes African sleeping sickness. African sleeping sickness means why it is called sleeping sickness, because if the patient they get infected by this protozoa, they sleep a lot. Okay, they sleep too much and eventually they die. Okay, they sleep that much that they don't eat Even they, I mean, they forget to eat. Okay, they just sleep. So even, and it's a fatal disease. People die of it. Okay. Another is Giardia lamblia. Another is protozoa, pathogenic protozoa. It causes severe fulminant dysentery. I mean, it causes severe dysentery. Okay. So dysentery is caused by several bacteria also. Usually, bacterial dysentery is not that severe. If untreated, it can be severe, but usually bacterial dysentery is not severe. Okay, bacterial dysentery is a self-limiting infection, but this protozoal dysentery, it can be very severe. Another protozoa, Antiamoeba histolytica. It also causes dysentery, amoebic dysentery. Okay, the Plasmodium, famous Plasmodium vivax, it causes malaria, and Leishmania donovani. This protozoa cause kalajor. Okay, so these are some famous diseases. Okay, bad disease. Okay, famous in notorious way. Bad disease caused by several protozoa. Okay, so let's say for example this one, the kalajor incidence in Bangladesh. It's kind of a endemic in Bangladesh. Okay, so every year certain amount of people get infected by kalajor in a defined area. I forget the exact name. Maybe in the Jamalpur or I forget. Maybe it's in the Jamalpur or Tangail or Mirzapur, around the Mirzapur area. Okay. Okay. So I'll give you another example of another endemic. You heard about the what is the sorry? Monoclonic virus term. Uh, oh, what virus? Nipah virus. So you know the Nipah virus, right? Did you heard the Nipah virus?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So Nipah virus, it's a, I mean, the disease caused by Nipah virus is very deadly. Very deadly means very deadly. I mean, the mortality rate is very high, almost like 80%, I guess. I forget the exact number, but it's kind of like 80 or 90%. Like if 100 people get infected, 90 people will die. Okay, it's very deadly. Nipah virus disease. And Nipah virus is kind of endemic in Bangladesh. Nipah virus is spread by bat, and on famous media is like uh, তালের রস। এই তালের রসের ইংলিশ কেউ জানো?
Sir, palm syrup?
তাল আছে না, তাল গাছ?
Yes, sir. Palm
তাল
syrup?
তালের রসের ইংলিশ কি?
I think it's next.
এই কারো মনে আছে তালের রসের ইংলিশ? Okay, so okay, I also forget, but you know the tree name of the tree, right?
Algats is palm tree, right?
It's
The
palm tree.
yeah, Algats palm tree. No?
এই কারো মনে নাই কি গাছ এটা? আমার মনে নেই আসলে।
Maybe it's plum juice.
হ্যাঁ, কি নাম?
Palm syrup, I think.
Palm tree.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
The
sir.
Okay, it's kind of a palm tree maybe. So like what happens, the bat, bat they carry this Nipah virus. Okay, and the bat I mean they usually sit on the palm tree and try to take the juice out of the tree, right, or the fruits of the tree. So at that time, the virus get from the bat into that palm fruits, and we human we usually consume the palm tree juice or the fruit, so we can get infected easily. So that's why in Bangladesh it's kind of endemic, like not in the Dhaka area, especially in the northern part of Bangladesh. Northern part, okay, northern part, some people die of the Nipah virus every year. Okay, and mainly, I mean, mostly people get infected by Nipah virus because they consume raw palm tree juice. Okay, the raw juice. I don't know. I don't know about you. I mean, if you have, I mean, you guys So you guys know, I mean, is there anyone who are from outside Dhaka? I mean, who know very good, who have very good idea about the villages? Okay, it's fine. So basically, I mean, I'm also from the Dhaka city. Okay, I actually, I mean, I was born and brought up in here, but still, I mean, we used to, I mean, my grandparents' house is in, was in the village. I mean, all of them are dead now, but so when they were alive and I was a kid, every year we used to go there, and I frequently saw that people used to take the raw palm tree juice. Okay, I mean, they just collected the juice from the tree and drink it. The taste is very good, but it has a risk. Okay, so cause there is a chance that that raw palm tree juice may be contaminated with Nipah virus. Okay, so if you heat the juice and then consume it, then it is fine. Okay, because in high temperature it will die. But the virus, usually they cannot withstand high temperature. Okay, viruses are usually fragile. They are dead in high temperature. So if you just heat it, আমরা বাংলায় যেটাকে জাল দেওয়া বলি আর কি, okay. So if you heat it for like few minutes, the virus will die. But consuming raw palm tree juice is kind of, I mean, it's a, what can I say? It's a regular practice thing in the northern part of Bangladesh. Okay, so Nipah virus is kind of endemic because every year certain people get infected by it. Okay, I have a question for you. Say Nipah virus is an endemic disease. I mean, every year in certain place of Bangladesh, certain amount of people uh, get infected by Nipah virus. So, do you think it can become an epidemic? When it's endemic, do you think it can become an epidemic?
So if it spreads to other countries, then maybe.
Okay, to become an epidemic, is it necessary that it has to spread to other country?
Epidemic? মানে
Epidemic,
epidemic needs to spread very quickly to
আচ্ছা, যেটা হচ্ছে আমি একটু ক্লিয়ার করি, হ্যাঁ। এপিডেমিক হতে গেলে আদার কান্ট্রিতে হতেই হবে এমন কিন্তু কোনো কথা নেই, হ্যাঁ। ধরো ইউজুয়ালি কি হয়, বাংলাদেশের একটা নির্দিষ্ট কিছু জায়গায় নির্দিষ্ট পরিমাণ হয়, যদি এই লিমিটটা ক্রস করে, ধরো উত্তরবঙ্গে হয়, সেটা দক্ষিণবঙ্গে ঢাকাতেও হওয়া শুরু করলো। ওকে, এবং ধরো প্রতি বছর 15-20 জন হয়, হঠাৎ করে 50 জন 100 জন ইনফেক্টেড হয়ে যাচ্ছে, তখনই কিন্তু সেটা এপিডেমিক হতে পারে। বুঝতে পারছো? So like Nipah virus, why Nipah virus is regarded as an endemic in Bangladesh? Because it occurs in defined area. I mean, mainly in the northern part of Bangladesh. Okay, there are like 4 or 5 districts in that area where the Nipah every year. Some, I forget the amount. It's like almost like 20 to 25 people die of Nipah virus every year. So say suddenly this year the Nipah virus spread beyond this regular limit. Say several other districts, say the southern part of Bangladesh, okay, or the western part. Okay, so the other area of Bangladesh, if people start getting infected by Nipah virus, okay, so that means more people. I mean, the disease will spread beyond its regular area, and also the number of infected person will be more. Then it will can be regarded as an epidemic. Okay. Okay. So that's why every endemic disease, they should be monitored carefully, because there is always a chance a epidemic, I mean, if not prevented or controlled properly, a endemic can become a epidemic and eventually pandemic. Okay. Okay, anyway, these are some disease about the protozoal disease. আচ্ছা, আমরা আবার স্লাইডে ফেরত যাই। Okay, so the last slide, how we can control major protozoal pathogen. Okay. Um, okay, there are several drugs for, like, there are antibiotics to treat bacteria, and similarly there are some anti-protozoal drug. Okay, like metronidazole, uh, চলো কি হবে miltefosine, emetic, quinine, okay, hydroxychloroquine, quinine, okay. These are usually anti-protozoal drugs. Sometimes they are also called anti-parasitic drug. Okay. Okay. Uh, okay. This is so, as these are drug, these are for treatment, but it's important to prevent the protozoa, because I mean, although there are anti-protozoal drug, but it's difficult to treat protozoal infection. Sometimes they're difficult, so it's better, I mean, for protozoal disease, we should try to prevent them in the first hand. Prevention is very important for protozoal disease, or otherwise, if an outbreak of protozoal disease occurs, it's very difficult to treat all the people. Okay. So what are the treatment, what could be the preventive measures to control the protozoal infection? Say chlorination of drinking water, uh, or boiling or filtration of drinking water, because several protozoa, they can spread through water. So we have to make sure that water are free from protozoa before we use the water. Okay, so these are some methods to do that, to treat the water: chlorination, boiling or filtration. Okay, and we also have to, I mean, to confirm whether protozoa is present or not, we can do microscopic examination. Okay, and these are the drug, antiprotozoal drug. And another thing is, if we want to control the protozoal disease, okay, so one very effective way is to kill or destroy destruction of the alternate vector. So what I mean by alternate vector, say for example, you want to control malaria. What is the vector of malaria?
Sir, Anopheles mosquito.
Sir,
Ex-
female Anopheles mosquito.
Exactly, the female Anopheles mosquito. So you can say, so mosquito is a vector for malaria. Okay, so if you want to control malaria, we have to control the mosquito. Okay, so that's why sometimes these are called vector-borne disease. Malaria is a vector-borne disease. Mosquito is a vector. Many protozoal disease, they are vector-borne diseases. Okay. In Bangladesh, very few works, not only in Bangladesh, globally, the research on vector-borne diseases are not that frequent. People do lots of research on viral diseases. Okay, but the bacterial disease research was kind of less frequent. But nowadays it's increasing because the bacteria, they are getting antibiotic resistance. Okay, so anyway, so vector-borne diseases are a interesting part of microbiology, and not so many people work on it. So it's a good area to work in future. Anyway, so to control, so we are done with protozoal disease. So before finishing, just I will reiterate one thing, that till now there is no vaccine for any protozoal diseases. So for example, malaria and protozoal diseases are deadly, more deadly than bacterial diseases. Okay, so it's important to control the protozoal diseases. As there is no vaccine, the only way to prevent protozoal disease spread is to control them. Okay, so for example, if we want to prevent malaria, what you have to do? We have to control the mosquito. How we can do that? First, we have to destroy the living places of the mosquito. Right? কিছু
আচ্ছা,
বলবো নাকি বলবো? Yeah.
এখন কি বলো প্রোটোজোয়ার জন্য ভ্যাকসিন তৈরি করা, we can't make vaccines for protozoal diseases?
Well, basically, say for example, people are only interested to develop vaccine which disease is very frequent globally, like malaria. Malaria is a deadly disease and it's quite widespread. So, various scientists there trying to develop vaccine against malaria, but vaccine development is not an easy task. So this COVID-19 pandemic, this is the first time scientists develop a vaccine within 1 year. This is the first time in history. Otherwise, a vaccine take at least minimum 7 to 10 years to be developed. But for COVID-19 vaccine, all of these vaccines need to be evaluated for several more years. Usually, I mean, the global authorities, they have approved, I mean, many different countries, they have approved the vaccine because it's an emergency. So all of them, they gave kind of, it is called temporary approval. Did you get my point? I mean, all these vaccines, they get temporary approval. So many further evaluation is required. So, yeah, bolo.
না স্যার, আমার মাইক আনমিউটেড ছিল আর ব্যাকগ্রাউন্ড স্যার।
I mean, developing vaccine against, okay, vaccine development is a difficult thing, especially say for example, okay, eventually you will understand these things. Say for example, HIV. People are trying for last 30 years, more than 30 years to develop vaccine against HIV, but they were unsuccessful, right? It's actually not possible. I mean, some scientists believe that it's not possible to develop a vaccine against uh, against HIV.
স্যার ওইটা হচ্ছে কারণ এইচআইভি একটা আরএনএ ভাইরাস না, সো দ্যাটস হোয়াই ইটস সো ডিফিকাল্ট টু মেক আ ভ্যাকসিন।
Actually, no, that is not the only cause. Okay, RNA virus is a problematic virus. We know that. COVID-19 is also RNA virus. Okay. The total course of action, I mean, how HIV caused the disease. Okay, we know like overall idea, but total course of action, we actually don't know that clearly. Okay, so it's difficult. If we don't understand something properly, it's not possible to prevent them. HIV is something like that. There are several different the causes. I mean, why we cannot, why we cannot develop vaccine, especially for HIV. How they interact in the cell wall area with the cell they infect, we still don't know. মানে এইচআইভি যখন মানুষের বডিতে যায় না, এই হিউম্যান বডির সাথে তার ইন্টারাকশনটা এটা স্টিল নাও একটা না এনিগমা টাইপের। You guys know, I mean, if someone get infected by HIV, it takes on an average 10 years to develop AIDS. So still we actually don't have clear idea how the HIV virus interact with our body. Don't have very clear idea. And we don't know how it's interact with our body, so how we can develop a vaccine against it. Okay. So I am telling you the cause in very brief, but the detailed scientific causes is much more depth. Okay. But don't worry, when you will study virology, maybe you will have some idea about this one. Similarly, for it was difficult to develop vaccine for malaria. I mean, people are trying for almost more than 30 years to develop vaccine for malaria. They were not successful somehow. It's a tough job. So till now, the best thing to prevent malaria is save yourself from getting bitten by the mosquito. Okay, মশার কামড় থেকে নিজেকে রক্ষা করো, ম্যালেরিয়া থেকে রক্ষা পাবা। কেউ কিছু বলতেছিল নাকি?
না, বুঝছে সব। থ্যাংক ইউ।
Okay. In biology, one interesting thing about biology is still now we don't know many things. Okay, so there are lots of things to do in the field of biology. Lots of things. And one thing is like say, especially after 1990s, the research on infectious disease they kind of got slow. Okay, I mean like in the 1950s or like now, I mean around that time lots of research was done in the field of microbiology, but after 19 kind of okay the year I'm telling is not exactly correct, but I mean it's like approximately correct. So like after around 1980s or especially 1990s, the research on microbiology field they kind of go, I mean they went down. Okay, I mean less research was ongoing because I mean in the beginning of এটা কি হবে বিংশ শতাব্দী রাইট, এখন তো একবিংশ শতাব্দী চলতেছে। সো ইন দ্য বিগিনিং অফ 1900s the I mean microbiological infectious disease was very widespread in the world. Globally millions of people used to die every year, like the tuberculosis, cholera, okay, pox. These were very deadly disease and used to kill millions of people every year globally. So that's why many scientists around the world they were working in this field. But what happened? Eventually, many antibiotics were developed. So, like by 1980s, infectious disease was almost controlled in the developed country, not in the developing country, in the developed country. Okay, so that's why, uh, I mean, as the infectious disease rate was very low in the developed country. I mean, they were kind of under control. So that's why the research on infectious disease they also went down. People are not getting disease. I mean, infected. So why they need to invest? Research need money. So as the developed country, they were kind of. I mean, they were able to control the infectious disease. They invested less money in the microbiology field. So the research they went down. Okay. However, say okay, this is one thing I mean there were less infectious, I mean there were less research on microbiology field, but nowadays you can say it's bad for the world but maybe it's good for the biomicrobiologists, the recent pandemic. So the recent pandemic shows the world that it's required to invest more money in microbiological research. So one what a single cell or single organism, a single tiny entity can do to, I mean, what harm can that a very tiny thing can do to the people around the globe? Okay, the recent pandemic it showed that, and also like antibiotic resistance is going to become a global threat. Lots of microorganisms, not only bacteria, the bacteria they are getting resistance against antibiotic. Fungus cause disease. Fungus can cause deadly diseases. Okay, so even fungus they are getting drug resistant. Protozoa they are also getting drug resistance. I mean every microorganisms they are getting resistance against the available drugs. So it's going to be a very big threat for the global people, antimicrobial resistance. So people are, I mean, nowadays the developed country they are realizing that okay, we have to invest more money on infectious disease. Another thing. So for example, uh, what I said, okay, malaria. I mean, millions of people they get infected by malaria every year. So that's why lots of investment was done for malaria vaccine development field. But what about the other malarial diseases? sorry, not the malarial disease, other protozoal diseases. The thing is, if the number of infected people is low, no one will invest on that field because, I mean, if you want to develop a vaccine, you have to do research, and it needs lots of money, lots of money. Okay, so no one is interested in investing on those kind of research where the outcome will be, I mean, where they cannot recover their investment. Let's say, for example, the bigger pharmaceuticals, say the Pfizer or like those kind of company, why they are not interested in investing develop I mean they are not interested in investing on money for developing vaccine for less frequent diseases, because they will not be able to recover the money. This is also true for, like, say, for example, for non-infectious disease, lots of research was done until now I mean, for non-infectious disease, for especially for the chronic disease. I mean, many scientists around the world, they are working on chronic disease medicine. And like the big pharmaceuticals or big biotech companies, they are also investing money to develop new drug for the chronic diseases. So for example, a heart disease, blood pressure disease, okay, or like, say, chronic kidney diseases, because it's easy to recover the investment from these diseases. Because say, for example, if one person they get infected by, I mean, if they got chronic kidney disease, say, or got hypertension, they have to take medicine every day. So say, for example, you have a company, you have developed a vaccine for hypertension patient. You don't have to think, I mean, worry about the money at all, right? Because hypertension patient, they have to take the medicine every day until they die. It's easy to recover the investment. But how about the infectious disease? We don't take antibiotic every day, right? We only take antibiotic when we get sick. And if I get sick, I will take antibiotic, and I mean, within few days, I mean, I'll be cured. I will stop taking the antibiotic. The market is small for infectious disease. Okay, okay. This was I mean, exactly non-relevant talks. Yeah.
হ্যাঁ, মার্কেট স্মল হলেও it's one of the most মানে যদি একটা ডিজিজ প্যান্ডেমিক হয়ে যায় লাইক করোনা ভাইরাস তখন তো কি করবো আর তারপর
এই যে
তখন তো কিউ for so shouldn't this be like a lesson
এই যে
যে
এই যে
all
এই জন্যই, yeah, exactly, you are right. এই জন্যই এই যে COVID-19 was a lesson for the world, right? I mean, people were less interested to work on infectious disease field. So now this is the result. Yeah, bolo.
so এখন মনে হয় মাইক্রোবায়োলজিস্টের স্কোপ অফ মানে রিসার্চ আর ওয়ার্ক অপরচুনিটিস বাড়বে হোপফুলি
Definitely barbe. Hey, definitely barbe. So I mean, it was bad for the world. I mean, the COVID-19, it was terribly bad for the world, but you can say it's a blessing for the microbiologist.
nothing in this case.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it's a blessing. I mean, you can say fortune. I mean, we were unfortunate or fortunate to get this pandemic. So, so especially, I mean, research on public health microbiology will increase, and not only public health microbiology, also like vaccine development, treatment. Okay, treatment is also necessary. Okay. রিসার্চ আসলে না মানে অনেক কিছুর উপর ডিপেন্ড করে, I mean, research need money. So especially, I mean, these kind of things. I mean, what is the global market? Especially, that's why real research is only, I mean, real good research is only possible. Okay, not good research. So, for example, the pharma or I mean, the private sectors, they also do lots of research, but they are only interested on established disease. I mean, the disease is there, then the pharma will invest to find a medicine for that disease. But except this, for other things like the if you want to do research on a promising disease or a impending disease, I mean, it's not still established one, but it can become, the pharma will not be interested on that. Okay, basically that's why this kind of research is mainly done by university researchers. I mean the academic based researchers, because the academy, I mean, don't think about Bangladesh. In the developed world, the academics they get fund from the mainly from the government, so they have the liberty to work on many different areas. Okay. Okay, guys, we are done with protozoa. Well, if you check the okay, so lecture 16 will be included in the syllabus, although there is nothing there. Okay, if you search the box, you will find another lecture on, I mean, on fungi. So, lecture 14. Okay, so lecture 14 will not be included in the syllabus. I will just suggest you to just read it for one times to just only get some idea. Okay. Okay, I will take another 4 minutes from you. I mean, just to try to get some. I mean, I mean, it will not be included in the syllabus. Just try to get an overall idea that what fungi is. Okay, you don't need to memorize all these things. Okay, so okay, so why fungi are important? I will tell you in one sentence. There are different type of fungus. Okay, unicellular, multicellular, especially unicellular fungi, like which are yeast like, also called yeast like fungi. They are very important industrially. Yeast are very important industrially. Yeast are unicellular fungi, or you can say unicellular microorganisms. They are very important regarding industry sector. Okay, so many yeast they are used to produce many commercially important chemicals. Okay, so that's why it's good to have some idea about the yeast. Okay, that's it. আর কিছু নাই? We are done. So anyone have any question or you want to discuss anything?
আচ্ছা আর স্যার যদি আমাদের একটা এক্সট্রা ক্লাস লাগে লাইক ইফ উই নিড ওয়ান তাহলে আপনাকে কোথায় রিচ করব
Yeah, well, okay. So if you need an extra class, you can knock me in the. I mean, you can write in the Google Classroom. Okay. I mean, you can directly knock me on the WhatsApp, or you can just write in the Google Classroom. So if you write in the Google Classroom, other student can see that. Okay. I mean, if you guys need an extra class before the exam, definitely you can take. I'll take it. Okay. So don't worry at all.
ওকে স্যার
You can directly knock me in my WhatsApp or in the Google Classroom. Okay. ঠিক আছে, মানে কার কোনো কোশ্চেন আছে নাকি?
না স্যার